From Hollywood, California, welcome to Reza Rifts with your host, Keith Reza.
Joe Wong, thank you so much for doing this, man. This is a real honor.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a real honor, man. The reason why I like doing flappers is because the celebrity pop-ups, and when I saw you, I was like really happy because I really enjoy your comedy. I was like, oh, Joe Wong's here. This is why I want to do the show.
Oh, thank you so much. But I didn't know you were stalking me, but thanks.
No, no, man. But it's so nice because you're always traveling and stuff. So when you see you in LA, it's because if I'm not on a show, I always want to do what I'm doing. So it's always nice to see comics I enjoy watching on a show.
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, I
Um,
like flappers a lot.
yeah, it's great. It's I kind of like it because it's the crowds are for everybody. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not just one type of thing where the improv, it's well, you gotta be nice for industry or whatever.
Well, thanks for letting me know.
Oh, yeah. I don't ever do the improvs. I just do
Uh,
flappers and
Yeah,
bar
I do
shows.
have two shows coming up there, February 8th, so I'll keep that in mind.
Oh, nice. How long
Yeah,
are
yeah.
you in town?
Should be mostly in town. I will travel maybe to the Midwest toward the end of January. Then I'll be back in town early February. So,
Nice. For some
yeah.
reason, I thought you lived in Boston or Texas or something.
Yeah, I lived in both places before, but now I'm based in LA now.
Nice. When you started comedy, you started in Boston, though, right?
Yes, yes. I'm a Boston comic.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
So how is that because Boston, what is a Boston comic? To me, I think all comics are comics, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there is something to it because in general, people's attitude is slightly different in Boston because a lot of Bostonians they want to compete against the New Yorkers to see who is meaner.
Right.
So, and then sometimes the audience can be really tough, you know. They just yell out shit like "you suck" or something. Also, yeah, so you have to be kind of always be on your toes, I guess.
When people yell that stuff, I mean, obviously it doesn't bother you now, but when you first
Yeah.
started, because you're also Chinese and stuff, so how did you adapt to be okay, I gotta just not let those insults get in my brain, you know?
Yeah, well, it never happened to me.
Oh, never. You just killed it 24/7. That's what I like.
No, no, but I think for some reason people deep down people are pretty nice. You know, if they see oh this guy is telling jokes in English as a second language, they usually don't bother you that much. Yeah, but with the exception of some comedians. I remember my first show in Boston, it was in a sports bar. After the show, one comedian came up to me and said, "Hey, I think you're probably funny, but I have no idea what you're saying."
So that was a sports bar, which is a totally different dynamic from a comedy club. So I guess what I'm asking is when did you know you wanted to do stand up? You know?
Well, I wanted to do it mostly because you know I was inspired by people like George Carlin. Then I saw some live comedy acts. But I started as a hobby, as probably most people, and I didn't decide to do it full time until probably 2008, 5 years after I started.
Yeah.
Because yeah, during those 5 years, things got tougher. I had my child, and some folks started around the same time as me. They already got on TV. I was like, okay, I probably would never make it. So I kind of quit for 6 months to a year.
Hmm.
And then I eventually I feel that I probably should still be doing it, you know. And at the time, in the beginning, reasons I quit is also because I have a child. I was like, oh, maybe I should focus on my job and be a better provider. And then we have some collaboration with Harvard University, and I went there. I just saw there are a lot of like Chinese professors already, but there weren't any Chinese comedians yet.
Right.
Of course, living in Boston, I just don't know people like Ali Wang or Xin Wang. They're already doing it for a while. I have no idea.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of more of an isolated scene there. Yeah, but I just feel like, oh, maybe I just should do something interesting and different. And then I went back to the comedy scene again.
Yeah, but it's nice to know because, like, usually when someone has a child or whatever, that's like an eye block opener. It's like, okay, maybe we shouldn't do comedy, but then you're like, okay, you got to think outside the box where, like, maybe I could do comedy about having a child, so you could still, you know what I mean?
Yeah. The thing is, what would you say to yourself in the future, or to your son or a daughter, hey, daddy quit comedy because of you.
Exactly.
Not a legitimate
Daddy
reason,
gave up his dream.
because you came to this world.
I wanted to ask about your writing and stuff. Like, obviously, it's easier for you now because you're a veteran. You've been doing it for so long, so it's easier for you to write. But when you first started, how hard was it for you to write?
Yeah, it's hard for me to write, and it's even harder for me to tell the jokes because I was a scientist. I didn't have the habit of writing at all. I usually just write whenever I have an idea. I see a red light. I pulled out a little notebook and write it down. Or if I have some idea when I was doing experiments in the lab, I would just write it down. I didn't have the habit of actually sitting down and writing jokes until I got the White House Correspondents gig.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, then I was really stressed out. I was like, oh no, I have to write more because I didn't used to write political jokes.
Yeah.
And from that point on, I just try to force myself to write. Every morning, I drop my son to the daycare and then go straight to a Dunkin' Donuts and sit there for about an hour to write and then go to work. Gradually, I kind of formed the habit of writing in the morning.
Yeah. How hard is that White House gig? Because that seems like that's the hardest gig in the world.
Yeah, it is pretty hard. It's very stressful. One of the most stressful shows I've ever been to. But fortunately, I have to thank the late Norm Macdonald. So, yeah, oh yes, this is true. I basically did two shows together, and he was like, "Oh yeah, your manager told me you're doing the White House thing. Just so you know, most comedians bomb really bad in the." So that kind of prepared me mentally, and I just kind of expect to bomb, to a certain degree. But still, I prepared for like 2.5 months, and whenever I do a show, I will just have that 20 minutes in the middle because most audience don't want to listen to political jokes in the club.
Right.
So if I do a 45-minute set, I just put that 15, 20 minutes in the middle. Even if just some jokes bomb, it doesn't matter. I can still go on.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned Norm because I toured with Norm for 9 years.
Really?
Yeah, he was one of my best friends. So, like,
Oh, okay. He's
yeah.
such a nice guy.
Yeah. And I asked him about the White House thing, and he said, "Oh, it's the toughest gig because he was Canadian, and he's like, even if I wanted to vote, all these guys hate me." Yeah.
It's kind of funny to watch him work. We did two shows together. The first show, he absolutely just killed. And the second show, exactly the same material, almost. But it just kind of hit or miss. I just feel that sometimes his jokes take some thinking.
Right.
Yeah, some people want to do it, other people don't. But it's good to know, there different styles of comedian and how the audience respond to it.
Yeah. And then, like, when you did Letterman and, you did Ellen, so you're getting all these TV spots in the U.S. I'm not so sure late night, like, has the same type of juice that, Johnny Carson or Arsenio Hall does, but it's still a credit. So I wanted to ask, like, how did that, like, help you, like, get headlining sets, and did it help you sell tickets and stuff? Like, how did your journey in that go?
Yeah, I mean, excuse me. Sorry, I don't know what's wrong with my throat. Maybe a little allergy.
Santa Ana wins, right?
But I have to say that Letterman show really gave me the biggest break in my career. Well, I didn't have a career before that.
Yeah.
Yeah, from that one spot, basically the show was taped on a Monday and it was going to be aired on Friday. Right after the show was taped, Letterman's company called Worldwide Pants, they had a meeting, and Mr. Letterman just wrote my name on the board and circled it and wrote sitcom on it. That was before my set was even aired.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, it's my first TV spot too.
Yeah.
It's a great start, but didn't get anywhere. We did try like for almost 4 years to get a sitcom going. It's a lot of work. I understand most sitcoms just don't actually get produced.
Yeah.
But still, at the time, we really tried hard to get a sitcom going. And also, it's a little bit before. I don't know. It's a little bit too early for an Asian sitcom, I think. This was before Fresh Off the Boat or Crazy Rich Asians. And I came to Hollywood, people just say to my face, "Oh, we don't want to have any Asian family shows." Or then later on, they're like, "Hey, how about Joe to pair us up with Jim Gaffigan and do a church show or something?" They're like,
Right.
"Oh no, we don't want Asian sidekicks." And I was like, "Man, there's nothing for me in Hollywood." So it was really tough at the time.
Yeah. I feel the exact same thing. I mean, I'm not Asian, but I have autism. So like I've tried writing a pilot, about being on the spectrum and stuff. So like, it's never really gone anywhere. And then like shows like The Good Doctor and Atypical show up, and you're thinking, well, this is not comedy. This is just it's kind of weird. Like Hollywood puts on like I think they don't know what they don't understand. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. Later on, I kind of realized that, but at the time, it was pretty disheartening.
Yeah.
And not just Hollywood, also the almost the pretty big chunk of the industry. Like even the Montreal Comedy Festival, there's a telling me, "Hey, you got some funny jokes, but I don't think people are going to be interested in an immigrant story." And I was like, "Okay, there's nothing for me to do here. I can change my jokes, but I can't change who I am."
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I totally disagree. I feel that like that type of show is what's needed in the world because with diversity, I feel like there's so much product that people can enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. People, especially people, open-minded people, they want to see something different, right?
Yeah.
Instead of the same old, CBS sitcom.
Exactly. And then when you because you also you do stand up in Chinese as well, like you go like yeah, do you have two different sets or do you just use your set and then translate it or like how does your mind work on that?
It has to be like two different sets.
Two
If you
different.
just do translate, it's very hard to get laughs,
Yeah.
and people can tell.
Really?
I have a comedian friend. He's also Chinese. He told me once somebody booked him on a Chinese gig, so he went there and did a translation. And people just told him, "I just feel that I'm listening to jokes from ChatGPT." It doesn't work that way. I still remember this was about 13 years ago. I was just sitting in a Starbucks in Beijing and just write jokes in Chinese from the beginning. You just have to grind it out.
Yeah. Definitely. So if I wanted to learn like comedy in Chinese, like because my act is kind of on the risky side, like how long, like would the people understand me if I was like really good at it, or do I have to come up with a whole new, totally different act?
I think people will understand you. You just have to find the right words and stuff,
Yeah.
to know what words people commonly use. Because that was one of the mistakes I made coming to America. I came to America before the internet and stuff. The way I learned English was from memorizing a dictionary, an
Yeah.
Oxford dictionary. So I came to America thinking that for some reason I just assumed that Americans don't know all the words in the dictionary. I even lost some friends. People told me, "Hey, so and so don't want to be friends with you anymore." I was like, "Why?"
What?
No, seriously, that's a true story. Oh, you use that word. I guess he felt that you're pretentious. I'm like, which word?
Oh my god.
Yeah, looking back, it's probably like lugubrious or something. It's a
Uh,
really archaic word, but I just assume people still use it.
that's so nuts, man. But I guess
Yeah,
people don't realize that too. Like from a
yeah,
comedy. So,
But the thing is, if I hang out with certain people for a certain time period, they just assume that I've been in this country all along. I still remember one female comedian even said to me, "Hey, Joe, I've been knowing you for a long time. Why do you still talk like that?" So like, she just doesn't understand why I should have an accent, even though she has a Boston accent.
right. Well, one of the things I noticed about you at the club the other day is you sat, where the comics sat, and you didn't really go in the green room or whatever. You just sat there and watched the entire show. Do you usually do that, or like, does that how your mind prepares for a set?
Well, it depends. Sometimes I hang out in the green room, but other times I don't feel that I'm that ready. So I just have to go to the showroom and try to focus on my set. Also, the day we met was, I think
It's Tuesday.
it's the same day I flew back to town, actually.
Really? So you
Yeah,
you
yeah.
just landed and then said, "Hey, I'm gonna do a set." That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I just did a mini tour in China, then I flew back to LA. I'm like, okay, I got to do a set there.
What's your favorite place in the world to perform?
There's so many though. Singapore, San Francisco, New York, Boston. Yeah, a lot of places are great.
Yeah.
Houston. Yeah, there's just only a few cities came to mind.
Well, okay, so I'm gonna ask the exact same question, but reverse. What's your least favorite city to perform? Where like whenever you come, you're like, ah, fuck.
Well, I don't want to offend too many people, but probably certain cities in Rhode Island.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, man. I mean, like Brown University is a good place to perform, but outside of that, it's just like, oh man, it's just so tough. Yeah, I'm sorry, Rhode Island, but I
Rhode
still go
Island.
there.
I'll know.
Yeah.
I'll put that on the list of like, because I want to start touring around the world. I don't want to go to Rhode Island now. You know what I mean? I'd be
Yeah,
like, Joe said no.
yeah, but you should try it out. You never know because different people draw different types of crowd.
Yeah. Well, for example, like I love Houston. Like I do really good in Houston, but I hate Austin. You know what I mean? So like I don't know if it's because the people in Austin are kind of like, "Hey, we're the new LA" type thing or whatever.
Yeah.
But I like Houston because Houston has this thing where they like to brag that they're the third largest city in the world or something. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of funny, I feel.
I thought they were the third largest in America or
Yeah,
the
something
fourth.
like that. Yeah. Yeah. Like they always say, they're like, I don't know if you know this, but you're in Houston, and you're like, yeah. They're like, we're the third largest city in America. You're like, okay. Like they take they take third prize very, you know what I mean? Like it's a
Yeah, yeah.
championship.
Oh
So
yeah, they love, especially when Houston Rockets was popular. Man, they're just so proud,
I know, right? Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah. And also another thing is, I used to go to Rice University, which is in Houston, and people always say, "Oh, Rice University is the world's best university in Texas." I mean, it's just kind of a joke, but then they really feel that their university is the best.
Yeah. Have you ever performed like a stand-up comedy in front of like outside the White House thing? Because those are all politicians, so I guess they're considered celebrities. But like, have you ever performed in front of so many celebrities where like you get starstruck? You're like, holy shit, Brad Pitt is right here. You know what I mean? Something like that.
No, I haven't, but I did the red carpet thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did red carpet interview for the Ellen show. So I interviewed a lot of people, a lot of musicians. It's kind of interesting that country musicians are the easiest to interview because they're just always fun and they're into everything you want to do with them. Rappers are the hardest, because they carry this I don't know, ego or whatever. It's just like, oh man.
Rappers are probably hard because they're pimping their hoes. You know what I mean? They're doing something.
Yeah, I think I saw Kanye West on the show before. it's impossible to get close to him. He got this entourage, on both sides flanking him, and he's just walking in the middle, it's just like, wow. Comedians are probably the most down-to-earth people. Most comedians don't even bring an assistant, they just go there by themselves. But
Yeah.
man, some of these rappers has huge entourage.
Do you ever lie that you have an assistant? Because whenever like I do a show and people come up to me after, for a picture or autograph or whatever, I always say, "Oh, let me get my assistant." And I don't have an assistant, so I'm just like saying that so I could leave.
Oh, I almost never do that. Just if I have the time, I will always take pictures with people, just because I have social anxiety. I just feel that it takes a lot of courage to actually walk up to a stranger and just say, "Hey, can I take a picture with you?" When people
Yeah.
do that, yeah, yeah. When people do that to me, I was like, okay, I really appreciate the effort there.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate that too, but I have social anxiety where I don't want to like take pictures with people. Where it's like, cause like it's like why
Wow,
why are you wasting
man,
your time?
you have it worse than me, man.
Like I like to when I talked to you at the club, like that was really hard for me because like I like to just perform and go to the next show. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like that's my work ethic. So like when I'm
I
talking
see.
to comics, it's like it must be because I really really admire and like them. You know what I mean? So like I don't.
Wow, I'm honored.
Oh yeah.
But I'm kind of curious, how do you survive the LA scene if you feel that way? You just want to do your set and leave.
Well, so LA, I could do so many different sets, like I could do flappers and then they have like bar shows and, Laugh Factory and stuff like that. So I could do like 3 or 4 sets a night. And then I also go to open mics still. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Because I just like to work on new stuff. But when I'm on the
me too.
when I'm on the road, it's a lot easier because, like, say if you're doing Houston, the Houston Improv, they only have the Houston Improv, and they might have like a bar show across the street or whatever, but you can't go up like 4 or 5 times. You can only go up like twice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think in that sense, LA and New York are probably the best. You can
Yeah.
just do multiple sets a night. But I guess the reason why I was asking this is not because you can go to different spots. It was just because a lot of times, Flappers is okay, but some other shows, I feel that LA comedians are really into hanging out.
Really?
They want you to be there the entire show. Coming from the East Coast, that's one of the things that's hardest for me. Sometimes I just want to do my show and go to the next thing. But then some hosts in LA, they got offended. They were like, "What are you doing? If you don't want to do my show, just don't come." I said, "Oh, okay, fine." I
Oh
mean,
my gosh.
yeah, seriously, I encountered this like twice. People were just so offended that you don't want to hang out. It's not like I don't want to hang out, but I got other things to do too.
That's so interesting because maybe I have experienced that, but like I don't really notice with my Asperger's syndrome, so I don't really care if they get offended. I just, you know what I mean? That's so interesting because I've never really thought about that. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah. There's definitely this thing about LA that, people expect you to hang out.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
but if you want to really get better or improve on your act, you have to hit multiple spots, right? You
For
can't just,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
So I want to respect your time. I have 3 more questions for you. I wanted to ask you what was it like? You had a Chinese show. Is it true? Where like
Hmm.
what was that like, and how did you get that on the ground? And was that something you were trying to bring into America?
Yeah, I wish I could. It's kind of a fun show, but it's a little bit similar to the Mythbusters show. It's a combination of stand-up comedy plus Mythbusters. We basically tell jokes in the beginning, and then I'll tell some jokes again, and then lead into a topic. Then we investigate if that's true or not. Sometimes it's the internet rumor, other times it's like scientific stuff. So I did that show for almost 10 years.
Yeah.
It's probably the longest show with someone telling stand-up comedy type of jokes on TV in China. I think kind of peaked and Stephen Colbert wanted to come on my show at the time in China. Colbert's producer wrote a letter to my producer in China. They're like, we're the number one rated show in America, reaching 4 to 5 million viewers per episode.
Yeah.
And the Chinese producer was like, "Wow, this rating is really low." Yeah, it's true. They literally said this. Oh man, in my show, the lowest rating is like 7 to 8 million. The highest like 25 million per episode. They were like,
Right.
what if he came out to our show and dragged the ratings down? So I'm like, oh no, no, he's like the next David Letterman, So I explained this, and we actually designed a lot of little sketches so that he will appear really funny without having to say any Chinese. It's a lot of work, and they even booked flights and tickets, flights and hotel rooms. And then soon afterwards, the trade war started, so that project just got capped. It's really a shame.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I read about you, which I thought was very fascinating, was that you wanted to bring a show where you interview like American actors to China, so China could know these American actors. And I wanted to know what was your mind, like why do you want to do that? Like, because that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I just because I love both countries. People keep asking me what's the difference between these two countries. If you live in both countries long enough, you just feel that there's absolutely no difference between the two peoples, except maybe language and cultural context. So I wanted to get people to know each other more. I actually hosted some events in China, like when Crouching Tiger 2 came out, that's when I hosted the event. Like at the time, it was like Michelle Yeoh and some other celebrities came over. I just basically do some funny interviews.
Nice.
Yeah, I actually also interviewed Harvey Weinstein at the time.
Whoa.
Just because nobody knows what he was doing in America, in China. Well, at the time, Americans don't know that either, right? He's just big
Right.
name producer. We want him to be comfortable there.
To be honest, I didn't even know what Harvey Weinstein looked like until this whole thing happened. And then like you see the pictures and you're like, "Oh, he is a pretty ugly dude." You know what I mean? We're like,
Yeah, yeah.
but
Well,
yeah.
I mean, but but it's basically a public event. We just did some bantering, and that's about it. Yeah, but
You gotta bring John Cusack, you know?
boombox on the shoulder or something.
Exactly. That'd be great. That was one of the coolest things when I was talking to you about John Cusack, because like I love John Cusack and he's gonna do the show, and like you were just like, I love John Cusack too. So like I feel like you and I had a moment.
Not as big as when he was doing the boombox thing.
All right, Joe. So second to last question, I wanted to ask you, what are your biggest fears in comedy when you first started, and do you still have those fears today?
Oh my God, I have a lot of fears because my very first fear was that I was gonna forget jokes. Yeah, because I was pretty shy. Was never comfortable on stage. So sometimes I have 5 minute performance. I will probably spend the whole day memorizing the whole thing. And also I always assume that Americans are really good at grammar for some reason. So I have to make sure all the tenses are right, this and that. And that's why after my first Letterman appearance, I just feel that I made one grammatical mistake.
Yeah.
And it was taped on Monday. It was going to be aired on Friday. So between Monday and Friday, I was really sweating. And I was like, oh no, what if they found out this grammatical mistake and not air it? It really tortured me. But it turns out it was okay. Nobody really pointed it out.
Yeah. Well, one of the great things about that set is after you performed, a Letterman like came down to like try and like tell you to take a bow, and you were like walking away. Like, so I thought it was so funny because you didn't know what was going on. But
Yeah, but some people thought it was staged. Yeah, seriously, this is like my manager told me later on. They were like, "Oh, they must have planned it," but it wasn't because that was my first time on a TV show.
yeah, you didn't know what to do.
Well, no, actually, I asked the producer. So I just said, what do I do after my set is done? He was like, wow, you can just walk off the stage. I said, fine. So after I'm done, I just walk back. And then this I just saw the producer do this. I was like, oh, he's telling me to go back. Then I turned around. Okay, Mr. Letterman is standing there with his hand stuck out. I was like, okay, I should get back and shook his hand.
But in that moment, that it must have been like so like you know what I mean?
Oh, I know, just like oh, but the first appearance was really nerve-wracking. At the time it was Eddie Brill who was the talent coordinator,
I know
and
Eddie.
yeah, I went to New York the night before. I practiced my set at Caroline's, and it just didn't get much laughs that night. I might just bomb the next day.
Right.
But Eddie was pretty encouraging. He was like, "Hey, Joe, just remember, bomb today, kill tomorrow. You're gonna be fine." And before I go on stage, he keeps telling me, "Just slow down. Just remember, a million people have done this before. You should be fine."
Yeah.
That really helped me.
No, that's actually like really good advice because I feel you're as a comedian you're only as good as your last set. So like
Hmm.
my last set I killed it and it's like okay, I'm the funniest guy in the world. But like 2 or 3 shows ago I bombed really bad and I was like really depressed. I was like I'm the least funniest guy in the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Man, yes, I totally get it. Sometimes I got so depressed I couldn't even move. I
Yeah.
just lie on the sofa, it's like, man,
Yeah.
it's not a good feeling, but you just have to go through it, I guess.
You know why it's not a good feeling? Because we enjoy making people laugh and making people happy and making these electrons and whatever else is in our human body, like making them kind of like a caterpillar, like making them turn into butterflies. And then when we
Hmm.
can't do that, we feel like we're failures. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And we're
We
like,
wasted like 5 years in this or
yeah.
something.
And it's just one show. You know what I mean? So, Joe, my last question for you is if you
Yeah.
could go into a time machine and talk to a younger version of yourself, knowing everything you know now, what would you
Yeah.
tell yourself?
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
But I think that one of the reasons I actually persisted is because my ignorance. I just didn't know how good some of the other comedians are. I kind of lived in a bubble for almost 8 years in Boston, just just a few good friends. And I don't, e- I didn't even know, you know, basically, later on, I went to New York and stuff. I just saw so many great comedians, and also LA. Just every night you see these people who are so good at what they do. I just feel that if I saw them early on in my career, I might get really discouraged.
Really?
But on the other hand, I probably should tell the younger self just to be more confident and enjoy the stage more. Because
Yeah.
that's what life is all about. But instead, I have the problem. I have low self-esteem and social anxiety. So sometimes I just beat myself up. But
Yeah.
now I feel that, oh, you should just enjoy it more seriously, and then you might even perform better that way.
Does your social anxiety and your low self-esteem do they get worse the older you get, or do you like is that?
Well, I think it got better. Honestly, I kind of feel better about myself after I started doing stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's before I got on TV or anything. Even before I got on TV, I feel that through doing stand-up comedy, I found out who I am. I found my own voice, and
Yeah.
that really helped me with my self-esteem.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, we you talked about seeing great comics and stuff, and now you fast forward. There's comics like me who get to see you, do surprise sets, at Flappers or the Laugh Factory or whatever. So I think like that's kind of like the joy of it is because you started there, and now you're it's kind of like a circle with all the other comics. You know what I mean? So like you're a real huge inspiration for comics like me.
Yeah, well, thanks for saying that. I also get inspired by younger comedians too. Joke-wise, they have their own style, of course, but just the sheer enthusiasm. I've been doing this for like more than 20 years. Sometimes, honestly, I feel a little bit jaded. I was like, okay, well, this joke I need some more work, but I'm kind of tired too. But then when I saw the younger comedians, how excited they are about having one joke worked out, and I'm like, okay, maybe I should relive that moment again. It had enthusiasm,
Like, all right, the comics now are more psychopathic. I love it. Well, Joe, where can the folks at home follow and support you? Instagram, Twitter, Facebook?
Yeah, all of the above, I guess. It's Joe Wong Comedy on Instagram and Twitter, Facebook. TikTok is Joe Wong Stand Up.
Nice.
Someone already took the name Joe Wong Comedy for some reason, so I have to use Joe Wong Stand Up.
You got an imposter on TikTok. That's good. That's a good thing. Well, Joe, thank you so much for talking to me and hanging out with me.
Yeah.
And, thanks for being my best friend for 45 minutes. I really appreciate it, buddy.
Okay, well, thank you so much for having me. Hope to see you more in the trenches, man.
For sure, definitely. Whenever you're performing, I'll be like, I'm going.
Okay, cool.
All right, guys. That was the episode. Subscribe, rate, review, and we'll see you guys next week on Reza Rifts.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Bye, Joe.
Okay, bye.